conquered Europe, and yet could not conquer himself. The greatest battlefield Napoleon ever lost was not Waterloo, but the silent empire of his own pride. History remembers Napoleon as a genius, a military prodigy, a lawgiver, a maker of empires. But genius, when chained to arrogance, does not create permanence. It creates spectacle, then ruin. This is not merely the story of 10 strategic errors. It is the anatomy of a mind that rose too high to hear reality anymore. And that is why Napoleon still matters, because his downfall wasn't uniquely imperial. It was profoundly human. Mistake 1, he crowned himself. In 1804, Napoleon did something unforgettable. He crowned himself emperor, not with the blessing of heaven above him, but by placing the symbol of ultimate authority on his own head. It was a gesture of breathtaking confidence and fatal symbolism. The French Revolution had promised the destruction of inherited tyranny. Napoleon took its energy, its blood, its ideals, and built a throne from them. And this was his first great mistake, not because ceremony itself mattered, but because it revealed a deeper transformation. He no longer wished merely to serve France. He needed to embody destiny. And once a man believes he is destiny, every limit begins to feel like an insult. And the ego analysis is simple. Pride is never content with function. It demands theater. It needs to be seen. It wants power, not only to exist, but to glitter. Jan modern lesson. Many leaders begin as problem solvers. Then success seduces them into self-worship. They stop protecting the mission and start protecting the image. The Stoic knows, the moment you need the crown to prove your worth, your judgment has already begun to decay. Mistake 2, he became addicted to victory. Napoleon's victories were so brilliant, they became dangerous to him. In Italy, Austria, Prussia, coalition after coalition, broken beneath speed, calculation, and iron will. But victory has a hidden poison. It teaches the gifted the wrong lesson. It teaches them that because they have bent reality before, reality will continue to bend. Napoleon stopped seeing war as an instrument. He began to live inside it. Peace was no longer stability. It was merely an interruption between opportunities for greatness. This was his second mistake. He did not know how to stop winning. And that sounds absurd until you understand what power does to identity. His ego had fused with momentum. To expand was to feel alive. To pause was to risk becoming ordinary. Modern lesson. Some leaders do not fail because they are weak. They fail because they cannot stop accelerating. Growth becomes addiction. Expansion becomes identity. Stoicism warns against this hunger. If you cannot step off the battlefield, you are no longer in command of your ambition. Your ambition is in command of you. Mistake 3, Spain, the ulcer of empire. In 1808, Napoleon intervened in Spain, removed its monarchy, and placed his brother Joseph on the throne. On paper, it seemed efficient. On the ground, it became a slow bleeding wound. Spain exploded in revolt. Guerrilla warfare spread through roads, mountains, farms, and cities. British forces entered the struggle. French troops found themselves trapped in a war that refused to behave like a proper war. Napoleon later called it the Spanish ulcer. A perfect phrase, not a clean defeat, but an infection. And why did he make this mistake? Because arrogance breeds contempt for human complexity. He thought nations could be rearranged like pieces on a board. He understood armies. He underestimated peoples. And he forgot that identity, religion, humiliation, and memory can outfight formal power for years. Modern lesson, you can impose structure without winning loyalty. Companies do this. Governments do this. Families do this. You can command compliance for a time, but not allegiance. The Stoic leader respects reality at the human level. People are not chess pieces. The moment a leader forgets that, decay begins. Mistake 4. He tried to control what could not be controlled. After failing to break Britain at sea, Napoleon tried to strangle it economically. His continental system was meant to close Europe to British goods and bring London to its knees. Elegant in theory, corrosive in reality. The policy damaged allies, encouraged smuggling, deepened resentment, and forced Napoleon to police not only borders, but desire itself. Markets slipped through his fingers. Britain adapted, Europe suffered. And this was not merely bad economics. It was ego refusing to accept a boundary. And Napoleon could not dominate the seas, so he attempted to dominate commerce by decree. Pride often behaves this way. When it cannot control one arena, it overcompensates by over-controlling another. Modern lesson. Many modern leaders mistake force for mastery. They build rigid systems to suppress realities they do not understand. But complexity resists vanity. Stoicism teaches a brutal but liberating truth. Some things are yours to influence, not yours to command. The stronger the illusion of total control, the harsher the collapse when reality answers back. Mistake 5. Russia. Then came 1812. Russia, one of the most devastating overextensions in history. Napoleon marched east with one of the greatest armies Europe had ever seen. He expected a decisive battle, a political settlement, a familiar pattern of victory. Instead, the Russians retreated. They burned the land. They denied supplies. They traded space for time and drew him deeper into emptiness. Since Napoleon reached Moscow, yes, but he did not achieve submission. He found ashes, silence, absence, and winter waiting. The retreat was apocalypse in slow motion. Men froze, starved, deserted, collapsed. Horses died. Discipline dissolved. The Grand Armée did not simply lose, it disintegrated. And why did he make this mistake? Because his pride had taught him the wrong relationship to scale. He believed that if the move was bold enough, the world would eventually yield. But geography does not admire genius. Climate does not fear glory. Distance does not negotiate. And in modern lesson, Russia is the eternal metaphor for overreach, a business expansion too large to sustain, an acquisition fueled by ego, a life built on momentum without supply lines. Stoicism teaches preparation, restraint, and reverence for conditions. Napoleon did not lose Russia because he lacked intelligence. He lost because intelligence without humility becomes suicidal. Mistake 6. He stayed too long in Moscow. Even after entering Moscow, Napoleon still believed the Tsar would negotiate. So he waited, and waited, and waited inside the ruins of his own assumption. In this delay was catastrophic. Supplies dwindled, temperatures fell. Time, the one enemy no emperor can bribe, turned against him. And why did he remain? Because to leave early would have meant admitting the campaign had failed. And for proud men, humiliation can feel more unbearable than danger. This is one of ego's darkest habits. It clings to a narrative long after reality has buried it. And Napoleon was not waiting because waiting was wise. He was waiting because retreat wounded his self-image. Sen modern lesson. How many people stay too long in dying strategies, broken careers, failed partnerships, doomed investments? Not because there is hope, but because walking away feels like confession. Stoicism demands a harsher honesty. Abandon illusion the moment it becomes illusion. Delay born of vanity is one of the costliest behaviors in leadership. Mistake 7. He could not accept the end of a season. After Russia, A wiser ruler might have consolidated, negotiated, or accepted reduced power. Napoleon did not. He kept fighting, raising new armies, forcing new campaigns, betting that energy, brilliance, and sheer will could rebuild a broken age. But by then, proportions had changed. Europe had adapted. France was exhausted. The empire was no longer expanding. It was fraying. This was his seventh mistake. He mistook persistence for wisdom. And there is dignity in resilience. But there is also madness in refusing to recognize when a season has ended. And pride distorts proportion. It tells a man that because he was once extraordinary, reality must continue offering him extraordinary outcomes. Short modern lesson: not every ending is defeat. Sometimes the inability to scale down, transition, delegate, or let go is simply ego refusing to become smaller. The Stoic leader asks a difficult question: what does reality require now? Not what did my glory require then? Greatness includes the discipline to know when expansion has become compulsion. Mistake 8. He returned from exile. His return from Elba remains one of history's most astonishing acts of political theatre. A fallen emperor sailed back, walked into France, and reclaimed power almost through the force of his legend alone. It was magnificent. It was impossible. It was tragic. Because this comeback was not proof that history had reopened for him. It was proof that he could not live without the stage. And why did he return? Because exile did not merely remove him from power, it confronted him with stillness. And stillness can terrify the man whose identity depends on motion, command, and spectacle. And some men fear obscurity more than death. Napoleon was one of them. Modern lesson: many people sabotage peaceful reinvention because they are addicted to relevance. They would rather risk total ruin than accept a smaller life with dignity. Stoicism offers another path. Your worth must not depend on applause, title, or visibility. The person who cannot live without the spotlight is already enslaved by it. Mistake 9. Waterloo was not merely a battle. It was reality collecting a debt. Yes, there were tactical complications: mud, delay, coordination, timing, fatigue, fierce resistance, Prussian arrival. But beneath all that was a deeper truth. Napoleon was no longer commanding the same age, the same leverage, or the same instrument that had once made him nearly invincible. And yet he fought as though the old formula still belonged to him. This was his 9th mistake. He trusted the memory of his greatness more than the facts of his condition. In past brilliance can become a narcotic. It tells a leader, you have done the impossible before, therefore you may assume the impossible again. But the present owes nothing to the past. In modern lesson, never confuse your peak with your present. Businesses die this way. Athletes die this way. Leaders die this way. Individuals stagnate this way. Stoicism demands presence, not nostalgia. Waterloo is what happens when self-belief remains strong after situational awareness has died. Mistake 10. He never mastered himself. At St. Helena, there were no armies left, no ceremonies, no capitals, no drums, only distance, wind, memory, and the man himself. This was Napoleon's final and greatest failure. He never conquered the one force from which all the others flowed, his own insatiable pride. He could move nations, he could electrify armies, he could reorganize law, administration, and war itself. But he could not quiet the hunger within him that kept whispering, more. On one more victory, one more validation, one more ascent. And that is the deepest tragedy of all. because external triumph can never cure internal unrest. In deep silence, Napoleon achieved what almost no human being has achieved, and still it was not enough. In modern lesson, your greatest enemy will rarely be outside you, not your rivals, not your critics, not your market. It will be the voice that tells you your worth depends on domination, applause, scale, or immortality. Stoicism offers the antidote Napoleon never fully embraced. Govern the self before attempting to govern the world. Napoleon's life endures because it is more than history. It is a mirror. A mirror for every leader who mistakes control for wisdom, for every achiever who confuses momentum with meaning, for every human being who builds an empire outside, because he cannot bear the silence within. And he was not destroyed because he lacked talent. He was destroyed because he placed too much faith in talent and too little in restraint. And that is why his story still chills us. Because most people will never invade Russia. Most will never rule an empire. But many will overreach. Many will ignore warning signs. Many will worship an image of themselves until reality tears it apart. And Napoleon is not only a figure from the past, he is a warning from the future. If this story spoke to you, then you were never just listening to history. You were listening to a lesson about power, ego, and the discipline of self-mastery. Subscribe for more stories where history becomes philosophy, and philosophy becomes a weapon for life.